at specsonline.com.
Wreck with the 18-wheeler downtown. They cleared it. Was 10 westbound at 45 in a center lane. That's why you're backed up trying to get through town. 86 for the high today, mostly cloudy. A little bit of sun here and there. Winds, 25 to 30 mile an hour gusts today going into Saturday. That's when we're going to get wet. 80% chance Saturday night going into Sunday. So some thunder and lightning could wake you Saturday. And then cooler temperatures. You're going to wake up to upper 50s for the low Saturday. Sunday's high in the low 70s, 74 right now. KUHF Houston News 88.7. A service of the University of Houston. It's 901.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. The foreign minister of Iran says Tehran will allow safe passage of commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. This follows a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Duri Buskarin reports.
In a post on the social media platform X, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the passage for commercial vessels is, quote, completely open in the Strait of Hormuz for the duration of the ceasefire in Lebanon. Araghchi said ships could use a coordinated route determined by Tehran. That may be a reference to Iran allowing certain vessels to pass through its coastal waters before the U.S. imposed its own naval blockade on the strait. He made no reference to clearing mines in the strait. U.S. President Trump responded with his own posts, saying the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports would continue until negotiations end. For NPR News, I'm Duri Buskarin in Van, Turkey.
The news comes as the leaders of France and Britain are convening a meeting with dozens of leaders from other nations. They're focused on how to help ships safely transmit the Strait of Hormuz when the fighting ends. Stocks jumped sharply this morning on word the strait could reopen. NPR's Scott Horsley reports the Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 750 points in early trading.
Oil prices tumbled on hopes the logjam in the strait may be ending after more than 6 weeks, allowing normal deliveries of energy and other products to resume. Retail gasoline prices have also been inching lower. AAA says the average price of regular gas is now about $4.07 a gallon. Traders are encouraged that a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon could pave the way to a more lasting truce. Stock in Netflix is down despite strong quarterly profits. The streaming giant offered a cautious forecast and announced that co-founder Reed Hastings is stepping down as the company's chairman this summer. Asian stocks were mostly lower overnight, one day after Japan's Nikkei average hit an all-time high. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
The acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement will leave his job at the end of May. Todd Lyons' departure is the latest shakeup at the Department of Homeland Security. NPR's Jimena Bustillo reports Lyons has played a central role in carrying out President Trump's mass deportation policies.
Lyons testified Thursday before House lawmakers to discuss the fiscal year 2027 budget, but the agency is still not funded for fiscal year 2026. That is because Senate Democrats stripped funding for all of the Department of Homeland Security earlier this year after federal immigration officers shot and killed 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis. Although some Republicans agree changes are needed, a deal to change how ICE operates has not yet been reached. In statements to NPR, top Trump administration officials praised Lyons' leadership and tenure at ICE. Lyons has been with the agency for nearly 20 years and will leave for a job in the private sector. His last day is expected to be May 31st. Jimena Bustillo, NPR News, Washington.
You're listening to NPR.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the William T. Grant Foundation, supporting research to improve the lives of young people. Online at wtgrantfoundation.org. And the listeners who support this NPR station.
From News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. A new poll from Texas Public Opinion Research shows Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton leading Senator John Cornyn by 8 percentage points among likely voters in the Republican Senate primary runoff. The poll shows Paxton appears to be picking up support from voters who backed Congressman Wesley Hunt in the first round of voting. It also indicates that even if President Trump were to endorse Cornyn, it would not give him enough of a boost to close the gap with Paxton. The National Rifle Association has struggled lately, but as NRA Public Affairs Director Justin Davis says, the group is focusing on righting the ship.
The reformers, as they call themselves, have taken over the board, which have put in incredibly strict guidelines and audit processes to make sure that every member dollar is spent judiciously. Laser focused on making sure the NRA gets back on track, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Davis spoke with Houston Matters Thursday morning as the NRA's annual convention is underway at the George R. Brown Convention Center. 70,000 supporters are expected to attend. Partly sunny today with a high of 86. Tonight, mostly cloudy and windy with a low of 71. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
This is Houston Matters. I'm Craig Cohen. Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on News 88.7 and on Houston Public Media's YouTube channel. Coming up this hour, the latest on policies surrounding local law enforcement interactions with ICE, final preparations for World Cup soccer matches here in June, plus this week's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We start, though, with a brief reminder that we are now in the most important moments in our spring fundraiser. We end this campaign in just 10 hours. Do not wait. Make your donation right now to support Houston Matters and everything you love about Houston Public Media. Make a $20 a month gift, more if you can afford it, at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And here with us this hour to encourage your support is Houston Public Media's Bianca Seward. Good morning, Bianca.
Good morning, Craig. This is it, guys. It's crunch time. This is the moment that your gift really makes a difference because the final hours of the campaign are the most vital. We are so close to making our goal, and we can get there, but we can only do it with your help. Just $10 or $15 a month is all it takes to make a real difference. So take action now. Sign up at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
When you do, giving is very easy. It takes just a minute. And let's face it, you already listen to this station. You trust what you hear. You rely on this news, the weather updates, the in-depth conversations that we bring you on Houston Matters, on Hello Houston, throughout the day on News 88.7. You learn more about the world around you thanks to Houston Public Media. Your financial support is what makes it possible. So give now that $10 or $20 or $30 a month gift, more if you can afford it, at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
The reality is the outcome of this campaign will set the stage for what our first year without federal funding is going to look like. And you only have a matter of hours to be a part of it. Give $10 a month, $15 a month. Keep trusted news alive in Greater Houston at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
Yeah, we lost more than $2 million in federal support last year, and frankly, that's money that's not coming back. Your monthly gift is the best way you can keep Houston Public Media strong despite that loss. When you give to Houston Public Media right now on this last day of our campaign, you stand up for facts, for local journalism. You support a critical mission that provides reliable news to everyone across Greater Houston, including people who are not in a position to contribute financially right now. We get that. It's why we turn to those of you who can and ask you to give a little bit more. Again, at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or at 888-909-0887.
Local news is fragile, but here at Houston Public Media, it's also powerful. And that's because we have you behind us. Local news is the most vital kind of journalism, and we're committed to it here at Houston Public Media. But we need to hear from you now, before the fundraiser ends. We need to meet our goal. Give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
The sooner you start your monthly gift, the sooner Houston Public Media can use it to tell more stories, to do more reporting, to tell you more about the world that matters to you. It's quick, it's easy, and it's crucial right now. Thank you for making Houston Public Media a part of your life and for relying on us to stay informed. And thank you for making your gift in the final hours of our campaign at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or 888-909-0887.
Local news is only as strong as the people who believe in it, especially here, where the news relies completely on your donation. So we need you. You're making a difference with your gift on the final day of our campaign. And what's at stake is Houston Public Media's survival. So start now. Go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us. You know the number, 888 909-0887.
That's not going to keep us from saying it again, though. Your monthly donation protects Houston Public Media. It's quick and easy to set up. Choose an amount to give each month that works for you, and you will support Houston Public Media all year long. So think about giving $20 or $30 a month, more if it's within your means. Then make that monthly gift. Again, HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or yes, 888-909-0887. And we'll check back in with Bianca Seward a little later in the program. For now, Bianca, thank you very much. Houston City Council was set this morning to consider repealing an ordinance just passed last week limiting cooperation between HPD and ICE. That discussion has been postponed until their regular weekly meeting next Wednesday. Yesterday, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit against the city over that ordinance, while Governor Greg Abbott extended a deadline to repeal it to next Wednesday. The governor has threatened to pull $110 million in public safety funding from the city. As the city's been in the spotlight over this all week, Harris County commissioners met Thursday to, among other things, discuss their own views and contemplate whether to take any action of their own. That was just one item in a packed agenda that also included a surprise appointment of an interim county attorney and a new initiative on child care. News 88.7's Sarah Grunau covers Harris County and joins us this morning with more. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Craig.
Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis placed the ICE enforcement discussion on Thursday's agenda. What was he initially actually proposing?
Yeah, so his proposal was more about starting discussions and developing guidelines for how Harris County law enforcement interacts with ICE. Specifically focusing on traffic stops and how administrative immigration warrants are served out.
Commissioner Adrian Garcia, who's former Harris County Sheriff, he noted Commissioner's Court doesn't have the power to set policy for law enforcement agencies that are run by independently elected officials like the Harris County Sheriff, like county constables. What authority does the court actually have?
Yeah, the Commissioner's Court only has authority really to direct certain county departments, including the County Attorney's Office and the Office of County Administration. I will mention that the court oversees the budgets of the Sheriff's Office and the county's 8 elected constables' offices.
Commissioner Ellis said of law enforcement's ICE interactions that, quote, it's all over the board. Besides his noting that, were there any concerns raised Thursday about a lack of a clear policy?
Yeah, since there were some legal hurdles that were presented with that proposal of directing county law enforcement guidelines, the item was moved to a closed-door executive session. So most of those discussions were made private. In various statements that were sent out by the commissioners, they urged county law enforcement to just implement smart policies on interactions with ICE agents.
Did anyone from the Harris County Sheriff's Office weigh in on Thursday?
No, we didn't hear from the Sheriff's Office. I will say that the Sheriff's Office coordinates with federal immigration officers through mandated detainers in the Harris County Jail. The state passed legislation last year giving jail staff the authority to issue immigration detainers known as 287G agreements. Of the more than 8,300 people in the county jail, about 882 were being held yesterday on immigration detainers, and that's according to the county's jail dashboard.
Now, the city is staring down some serious repercussions from that funding pullback threat by the governor to the lawsuit that the Attorney General filed Thursday. Did commissioners discuss any potential consequences should they even debate or pass any attempted restrictions?
Yeah, commissioners have not really had those conversations yet about potential consequences with discussing county guidelines on ICE. I think that's because they're in the very early stages of, what this still might look like.
It's probably not out of the realm of possibility that that's something that came up in the closed session. Ultimately, did county commissioners do anything about law enforcement interaction with ICE?
Yeah, so after the closed-door executive session discussion yesterday, the commissioners took no action on the item, but Ellis did direct the county attorney's office to develop clear guidelines on how county law enforcement should interact with federal immigration officers. In a statement after that vote, he said that he's committed to supporting immigrant communities and protecting the constitutional rights of county residents.
Meantime, commissioners Thursday did vote 3-2 to appoint Houston City Council member Abby Kamen as interim Harris County attorney. This position was left vacant when then County Attorney Christian Menifee ran and won the 18th District congressional seat, but an interim attorney was then in place. So why was this suddenly on the agenda, and why did commissioners name Kamen?
Yeah, I think there are still a lot of questions about this. Commissioners said that interim county attorney Jonathan Fombon recently submitted his resignation, even though he was supposed to remain in the position until the November election to name the new county attorney. The appointment did seem to catch a lot of folks by surprise, and we're still working to learn more information about Kamen's appointment.
What did the two commissioners opposing this move have to say?
Commissioner Tom Ramsey and County Judge Lena Hidalgo noted how sudden this appointment was. They both voted against the appointment. Ramsey said that he didn't think this was the correct way to do this.
With that city council vote coming next week, will Kamen remain in her position as a council member in the interim?
She will remain in her position as a city council person until her successor is sworn in around May. She will step in as interim county attorney in June, I think June 15th.
Commissioners also approved a business accelerator initiative to expand childcare access. What led to this vote now?
Yeah, Commissioners Briones and Garcia recently established a new coalition on early childcare efforts to expand access across Harris County. That was established in January this year and has already started working on, some of those low cost efforts.
You mentioned Judge Hidalgo was at the meeting. She had missed several recently. She had previously been unable to garner support for a tax hike for an early childhood education initiative initially funded through COVID-era subsidies. Did she bring that up Thursday as this child care initiative was passed?
Yeah, she sent out a pretty lengthy statement on Thursday before the vote that mentions that. She said if Commissioners Court wants to make real change with child care services in Harris County, they'll need to put real funding into the effort and not just make low-cost proposals.
Sarah Grunau covers Harris County for Houston Public Media. Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Officials from FIFA visited the city Thursday for a final briefing on preparations for 2026 World Cup matches here starting in mid-June. News 88.7's Michael Adkison joins us now with that. Michael, good morning.
Hey, Greg, good morning.
What did FIFA officials have to say about Houston's preparations as we close in on the games?
Well, to sum it all up, they said Houston is very prepared. They said that fundraising has gone well given the ties that Houston has to local business leaders. They noted that the host committee here in Houston has really invested in some long-term investments into the Houston area to make sure that there's a lasting legacy beyond just this month-long tournament. And they also noted that the recent change to the name of NRG Stadium really benefits them because, as we've reported, the NRG Stadium is not going to be called NRG Stadium during the World Cup. It's going to be called Houston Stadium because FIFA is very particular about their sponsors. So this change from NRG Stadium to Reliance Stadium later this year actually benefits FIFA because it just crosses off one more thing that needs to get done. Really, FIFA officials said all that's left is installing that pitch that the players are going to play on, and that's going to begin taking place when FIFA takes over the NRG Stadium on May 1st.
We were just discussing the controversial Houston City ordinance on policing immigration. That could potentially affect public safety funding for the World Cup. Did local officials involved with the planning have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so FIFA's Houston Host Committee President Chris Canetti spoke with reporters briefly after the press conference with the actual FIFA officials, and he was asked specifically about that. He gave a short answer, but basically said that this is out of the host committee's hands and that they're going to hope what happens best happens for them, which is getting that funding, but that they're going to adjust accordingly if that doesn't work out that way. He did say that the FIFA officials did meet with Houston Mayor John Whitmire yesterday morning and said that that meeting was productive, but did not elaborate further.
Okay, practical question now. How will fans be able to get from NRG Stadium or whatever they're going to call it on match days?
Right. So one of the big developments from yesterday was that Chris Canetti again confirmed that Metro is not going to increase the prices of taking a ride for the World Cup, which was not out of the question. Some other cities that's been discussed for public transportation is raising the prices for those World Cup days because they know demand is going to be there. Metro has said they're not going to do that. So they're really placing emphasis on the red line that can get people from East Downtown, where that fan festival is, over to NRG Stadium. And again, they're not raising prices. So the round trip membership should be about $2.50 for that. FIFA has really emphasized that Houston needs to prioritize public transportation and did say that they like what Metro has done, considering, I know it sounds silly to have to say it out loud, but these international fans aren't going to necessarily have access to cars like the rest of us do in Houston. So they're going to be pretty dependent on these Metro lines.
On a previous program, we talked about efforts to try to curb human trafficking surrounding the World Cup. It's a concern all the time, but it gets more attention, more concern when there is a major event bringing a lot of people to town, any kind of major event like that. Did officials discuss how the city plans to protect human rights during the tournament matches here? They
did. So each host city is required to submit a human rights plan to FIFA about how they're going to prevent bad things happening during the tournament. I will say that Houston's human trafficking or human rights leaders have emphasized that, yes, more attention is placed on human trafficking when something like the World Cup happens. And yes, there is an increase, but it's not as exasperated as people expect it to be. But that being said, the Houston plan is one of the few that's actually been published and everyone can see, and FIFA praised that. It divides their work between sex trafficking and labor trafficking. In general, there are other priority areas, but those are two of the major ones. When it comes to sex trafficking, one of the big things that Houston's going to do is make sure that people know what the laws are here in the U.S. and Texas. For example, one of the teams that's coming is the Netherlands, and I believe that sex work is legalized there. It's regulated, but it's legalized, and it's not here in the U.S. And so making sure that people know what the laws are, that you don't engage in something while you're here in the U.S. is going to get you landed in jail with a felony. And so making sure that people are aware of those laws, as well as labor trafficking. The FIFA host city group here in Houston has said that they're going to commit to having a $15 minimum wage if people want to work with them, things like that, as well as if you do become a worker with the World Cup, that there are protections for you as an employee. I will also mention that Human Rights Watch praised Houston as one of the only cities that has published its plan, but did criticize it for not having specific protections for undocumented workers and fans, as well as the LGBTQ community.
One last thing, the Democratic Republic of Congo's soccer team announced this week that its World Cup base camp will be here in Houston. What does that mean exactly?
Right. So the base camp is where the teams are going to live and practice during the World Cup. So, basically every team that's going to be playing in this tournament has to have a base camp because they don't want to have to travel back and forth. If you're the Democratic Republic of Congo, you don't want to have to fly halfway across the world every time you need a match. Right. So Houston is going to be something like a home away from home for these guys. They're going to be practicing here, living here. That home base is going to be at Sabercat Stadium, which is the stadium that's still called Sabercat Stadium, but was formerly used by that rugby team, the Sabercats, before they disbanded last year. So that's where it's going to be based. This is the DRC's first trip to the World Cup in 50 years, and Houston officials and FIFA have met with the DRC here in Houston to talk about what that's going to look like. And as what they say, there's a lot of excitement, and they're expecting a lot of fans from the DRC to be coming here.
Houston Public Media's Michael Adkison. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And still ahead this hour, we dive into oddities in the news with our non-expert panel on the good, the bad, and the ugly. Stay with us as Houston Matters continues on News 88.7 and YouTube.
Hello, I'm Ernie Manous. Our show, Hello Houston.
You count on Houston Public Media. That's why you're here right now. Take the next step and become a new member today. Every gift makes a difference. And with a gift of $5 a month or more, you'll receive PBS Passport, a member benefit that lets you stream more of the shows you love anytime. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. Join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. Baylor's work centers on advancing health and medicine through research, education, and patient care.
Support comes from Rothko Chapel presenting art class for families with Vasily Kandinsky as part of Neighborhood Community Day, April 18th. The event includes an interactive art session exploring color and composition through abstract work. rothkochapel.org.
This is Houston Matters. I'm Craig Cohen. And, well, here we are at the end of our spring fundraiser. And now is when your donation means even more. This campaign ends in less than 10 hours. Your gift is the best chance we have to strengthen the future of trusted news for all of Greater Houston, including others who can't afford to give. It's why we ask those who can to give a little bit more. Make your monthly donation right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Or you can call us at 888-909-0887. And once again, let's say hello to and check back in with Houston Public Media's Bianca Seward. Hi, Bianca.
Hi, Craig. All right, guys, here's the truth. The station only works if you decide it should. So right now, we need you to step up and make that choice. We'd really value your support because at 7 this evening, we'll wrap up this fundraiser and we'll need to move forward with the money that we've raised. So go now to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us right now at 888-909-0887.
You know, folks donate in all amounts. Some it makes sense to do $10 a month or $20 a month. Some are able to do $125 a month, a gift of $1,500 or more. And if you do that, you'll join our studio society. You'll support the station and help us remain strong for our entire community. Of course, members of Houston Public Media give when others can't, so that we can all have access to this information. And so that's why we turn to those of you who are able to give a gift of $1,500 or more. And we ask you to essentially power journalism for the future and for everyone, and take a real leadership role here. Hope you can do that if it's within your means at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or at 888-909-0887.
At 7 p.m. this evening, that's it. We'll wrap up this campaign. This is an exciting time to see everyone step in and come together, but we need you to do it now. We want to maintain strong, steady support so that we can continue the same level of service you expect, despite the loss of millions in federal funding last year. We can move forward, but only with your help. Please give monthly right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
More than any other time, this is when this spring fundraiser matters most. The final hours matter. Make a donation now for the news, for the voices, for the perspectives you just don't hear elsewhere. Your support now tells us what we'll be able to do in the months ahead. Don't ignore this opportunity to bring so many more reports and conversations to life. Give now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And stay with us. This week's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is ahead as Houston Matters continues on News 88.7 and YouTube.
Houston Public Media is committed.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
Offering commercial and residential property tax protests for 39 years. The deadline to file a protest is May 15th. Info and online filing at novotnycompany.com.
Support comes from the Houston Symphony, presenting Adams Conducts Adams and Appalachian Spring. Composer and conductor John Adams features his own music and Copeland's Appalachian Spring this weekend at Jones Hall. Tickets at houstonsymphony.org.
A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Charles Kuffner, who writes the off-the-cuff political blog, Lisa Falkenberg, senior columnist with the Houston Chronicle, and Marco Roberts, chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum. Charles, Lisa, Marco, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thanks, Greg.
Good morning. Panel, U.S. Defense Secretary, or if you prefer, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is facing some ridicule for quoting a fake Bible verse from the movie Pulp Fiction while leading a prayer service at the Pentagon Wednesday. Hegseth delivered a variation on the Quentin Tarantino penned and Samuel L. Jackson performed, but not actually biblical Ezekiel 25:17 monologue from the 1994 movie Pulp Fiction. In the film, Jackson's hitman Jules delivers the speech to his victims right before murdering them, at least until, spoiler alert, he has an awakening and interprets the words differently. Hegseth set up the quote by saying it was a prayer recited by one of the Air Force combat search and rescue teams that rescued an airman trapped in Iran earlier this month. Unfortunately for Hegseth, the path of the misquoting secretary is beset on all sides by the tyranny of internet trolls who gave him an earful over it. Pete Hegseth may have thought he was quoting the Bible, maybe not. He was actually quoting Pulp Fiction. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Charles Kuffner.
I mean, it's hilarious, and it's also kind of amazing that he managed to find, a section of dialogue from Pulp Fiction that didn't include, the F word, which I think might have been a clue if it had been in there that this was not in fact something said by Jesus or one of the prophets. I don't know. I mean, it's of a piece with these self-proclaimed Christians, and I use that word loosely, who. Well, first of all, there's people like House Speaker Mike Johnson who didn't seem to recognize that when Pope Leo talked about God not hearing the prayers of those who make war, I don't have the wording exactly right. They're claiming that wasn't from the Bible. He's actually quoting Isaiah from chapter 1. It's right there. I would have thought they might have been more familiar with that. But we have. It seems a lot of these so-called Christians who, to my mind, as someone who attended Catholic school for 6 years, they don't seem to understand what Jesus was all about. They are what I would say extremely not Christ-like, and this is as good an example of that as you'll find.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly. Lisa Falkenberg.
I think this is good, great. Because we often have this conversation about how, whether it's the New Testament or the Old Testament in this case, but we all often have this conversation about how they don't really know what's in the Bible. They're not representing, certainly, Christ's teachings. But now we have proof. Like these people, some of them call themselves the whole Bible, Christians, meaning they don't just follow Christ. They go back and, find things that they need out of the Old Testament as well that suit their purposes, particularly in war making and more violent endeavors and hateful endeavors. But in this case, we know they're not whole Bible. They're extra Bible. They're like adding things to it. Like whatever suits the purpose, we're going to say this is Christian, this is okay, and it's sanctioned, even though they've swayed so far from the doctrine. I mean, this is a man whose pastor has said, that wished death basically upon James Tallarico, calling him some kind of demon and, a man who's here to bewitch us all, I guess, and working against God, so it's okay to want him to die. So at what point do actual Christians, people of any faith that's constructive and loving and healthy, at what point do people of faith say, this is enough, this is blasphemy? I mean, the president too, on Easter morning,
found out.
Saying he's going to end a civilization and kill a bunch of people.
Or, I was thinking of the AI image of him as Jesus healing the sick.
That as well. Now, he's a doctor, Charles. He was a doctor.
My doctors look exactly like that.
They have light coming out of their hands. But anyway, I think it's good when people show themselves.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly. Marco Roberts.
I think it's a nothing burger, and I think actually it's good for Pete Hegseth that this is the worst they can come up with. He was very clear. He was not quoting the Bible. He said that from the beginning. This was a prayer that was handed to him by the members of the unit. So and he even at one point, as he introducing, he says, I think this is supposed to reflect Ezekiel, which it kind of does. I mean, if he had said was inspired by, perhaps that's true. It's not the exact Pulp Fiction, but clearly the members of that unit took it from Pulp Fiction. Whether he Hegseth knew that or not, I don't know. But, this history of people, I might have not liked the prayer itself, but I do think he was motivated by the fact that it was the team that had that prayer, so he's doing it for them. So I think it's nothing, but it's true. I mean, what Lisa and Charles are saying is that we are living in an environment of people being kind of loose. I mean, we had Obama's own. Remember he went to that. He was getting a lot of trouble during his election because of the preacher that was saying that America deserved 9/11, and Obama had been attending that church. We all have these issues. I think that Lisa's right about Hegseth's own pastor. Those are all concerns that we have. We have that attorney general from Virginia just got elected who basically wished that his opponent's children be killed. And when he was asked, "Are you really mean that?" he says, "Absolutely. They're little Nazis. They're future Nazis. So we got to get rid of them." So we live in an environment. But in the term of crazy, certainly Trump's meme upset a lot of folks. I know he's tried to say it was a doctor, looked like Jesus to me. It was not very syllable. But then we have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that, Jews have spade lasers, burning fires in California. Talarico himself saying that we have 6 biological genders, although he hasn't told us what the other 4 are. People saying all kinds of crazy things. So I think in the scheme of things, Pete Hegseth is in pretty good shape, but this is the worst that they come up with. I think it's nothing.
Do you all think that members of this unit, that they did this to have some lighthearted fun with Hegseth? Do you think they figured or assumed that he would recognize it from Pulp Fiction? Do you have any sense of any of that?
If they were in fact trying to troll him, I applaud them. I don't know that I think that that's the case. But if they were, well done.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that, you read the poem itself, it's a fighting prayer. It's kind of, it's it would be easy to say this was not the prayer we used. Somebody could say, well, no, we never did that. I think that people, if you talk to, I talked to a lot of folks who feel
take them at their word.
Yeah.
They intentionally meant it, and the fact that it was lifted, at least in part, from Pulp Fiction is just beside the point.
Yeah,
that's where they got
it's a
it from.
fighting military style prayer of where encouraging yourself in the middle of battle.
Yeah,
so.
churches are all different. I think I've said I went to, really big church here, evangelical church that quoted Bill O'Reilly more than Jesus Christ, and I was very troubled by that. So in some people's churches, it might be okay to bring in, even, if you knew he wasn't quoting the Bible directly. But I think what brings it over the line for me is he is in a church service. Like, he is speaking in a sacred service. People are praying. They're bowing their heads to words that are
and some of them
they
clearly
may think are from
knew.
Ezekiel.
I mean, you could see from the reactions, some of them, whether those were members of the unit or somebody else, they clearly knew, wait a minute, something's not quite right.
Well,
here.
I think that, what happens here, and I think Hegseth and a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle should learn this, is that the reason why Hegseth is getting trouble over this is because of the bravado and the tone and the temperament that people have seen in the past. And I think whether you're Democrat or Republican, if you carry yourself in a bombastic, blustery way, then even little things you say get blown out because people think that feeds part of that persona. If you were a person who normally conducted themselves with some decorum and some modesty and some humbleness, then people would just look past those things and say that doesn't mean anything.
Decorum, humbleness, and modesty are not words that people use around Pete Hegseth. That is for sure.
Panel, the sneaker company Allbirds caught the attention of the business world this week by announcing it's pivoting from making shoes to developing AI infrastructure. The San Francisco-based firm says it struck a $50 million deal to become an AI compute infrastructure business called New Bird AI. It sounds like a wild shift, but there's at least some method to the madness here. Allbirds trainers have long been popular with tech workers in Silicon Valley, so the folks behind a lot of AI work may be more familiar with the brand. And since its stock had been dropping all year, a change of some kind was certainly in order. This big change led to an even bigger reaction on Wall Street as Allbirds shares increased to near 6 times their value on the heels of the announcement. One day you're making shoes, the next you're developing infrastructure for AI. It is a gig economy after all. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Lisa?
Good, I guess. I don't know. AI is walking all over us in so many ways. I think that I had never heard of Allbirds until several years ago. Somebody recommended that they were really easy travel shoes. And so I bought a pair, and I have to say, they're the ugliest shoes on the planet. I mean, they're terrible. Right? They're just they're very plain, but they're very, they really pack super well, and they're light. So if you're a person who's traveling a lot, I guess these tech bros, they travel a lot. So I guess it's really helpful for them. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe their AI platforms could have more aesthetic quality than their shoes, more style. I don't know. if I would trust these people with designing anything else, but it's good for them. Stay afloat any way you can, I guess.
With an endorsement like that, I think I understand why their sales were waning. Good, bad, or ugly, Marco?
I think it's probably good. I mean, I don't, we'll see how it turns out for the company, but I think maybe what Lisa's suggesting is that it's gonna maybe their aesthetic, expertise will apply to the new platforms and make them nicer looking. They are kind of plain. It's amazing to me. It's kind of strange, but then when you think back at the past, this is not the first time that a company has completely gone through a whole different. I think most famously was the mining company of the Minnesota Mining Company becoming the 3M Post-it Notes company. And that's all by an accident when they were not being successful with their operation, and somebody accidentally discovered this semi-non-sticking glue that you could, and then they completely said, we're dumping the mining thing, we're doing Post-it Notes. And it became a huge success, right? Fujifilm is doing skincare products because no one's buying film anymore. And that was a smart thing to do, right? Because they realized we're seeing the future and it's not film. And so we need to come up with something else. And they've been successful at it. Kodak famously, and this kind of is a warning to everybody that you can't stop the future. You can't stop progress. Kodak famously did not pursue other options because they wanted to preserve, and they were hoping to preserve their film industry. And they didn't even create digital alternatives that they could have done, like Fuji did, because they were afraid that they were going to eat into their own business. But they failed to anticipate, yes, but the world is going to move on. You can't stop it. So I think it's a good sign of our healthy entrepreneurial spirit.
You remind me also, American Telephone and Telegraph. That doesn't really spend a lot of time and money on the telegraph these days.
Not anymore.
Good, bad, or ugly, Charles?
I just want to say I miss the telegraph. Look, you couldn't come up with a better example to convince me that a lot of AI hype is just that and nothing behind it than this. I mean, what does it even mean that they're... What did you say? That they're going to be... It sounds sort of like they're going to be a data center, maybe, sort of. I don't know.
AI compute infrastructure.
That's compute is what they do at data centers. I mean, that's what they do. But, I mean, you can't just take any old piece of hardware and turn it into the kind of compute hardware that AI requires by by sprinkling pixie dust on it.
Oh, Charles, just do it.
I mean, you could. I don't think it would work very well.
You can turn shoes into mouse cozies.
I'll take your word for it on that. I guess what I'm saying is this is nothing, but it's nothing that managed to move the stock market and raise their stock price by 6 times. So now, like I said, that to me is what the AI hype is all about, and I kind of don't think that's very good.
We are contemplating the good, the bad, and the ugly of the week's news with today's non-expert panel, off the cuff political blogger Charles Kuffner, Houston Chronicle senior columnist Lisa Falkenberg, and Marco Roberts, chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum. Coming up, love bugs and why we don't much love them these days. Stay with us as Houston Matters continues. Already on today's show, we've heard from Houston Public Media reporters about developments in Harris County and preparations for the World Cup. Our good, bad, and ugly panelists have just contemplated oddities in politics and the business world. It's all part of the mix, the wide variety of issues and ideas and voices that we share every day here on Houston Matters and that you hear all the time on News 88.7. And it all keeps you better informed about the world around you. Well, it also comes together because of listener financial support. And we are running out of time to raise the money we need during this fundraiser. So give now with a $10 or $20 or $30 a month contribution, more if you can afford it, at houstonpublicmedia.org, or you can call us at 888-909-0887. And joining us once again to encourage your support is Houston Public Media's Bianca Seward. Hi, Bianca.
Hey, Greg. Okay, guys, this is our first on-air campaign of 2026, and it's going to reveal how much we can do for you this coming year. I've got to be honest with you guys, you're running out of time to show your support. The fundraiser ends tonight in just a little over 9 hours. This is when your action matters most. So please give monthly right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
You hear the urgency. It is a happy urgency, I promise. We are here for you. We work every day for you. And right now, well, we get to tell you exactly how much you mean to to Houston Public Media. You mean a lot. You might think someone else will give, someone else will keep the lights on or make sure that the news coverage doesn't fade away. That's not true. It's your gift that keeps this going. So give right now in these final hours of our fundraiser at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or 888-909-0887.
This fundraiser, it's a turning point. It'll allow us at Houston Public Media to plan more stories, projects, and investigations and series. With your donation, we'll tackle all kinds of topics, like the World Cup this summer, our nation's 250th anniversary in July, and we'll also cover ICE activity in our communities and keep you up to date on what's happening in your kids' school system. Because the truth is, without your help, none of this is possible. Stories like the ones you're hearing today help you find meaning and context. Keep this going with a monthly gift at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
And we should take a moment to say thank you to those of you who have already contributed. You may be giving monthly, and maybe you have been doing so for a while now. We're very grateful for that support. If it's within your means, consider an additional gift, an extra donation, maybe $50 or a couple $100 to this station that you value. Make sure that we're able to, not just slow down, but that we can keep going, that we can increase the amount of research that we do, the deeper examinations, the in-depth reports that you hear on this station. That additional funding makes a big difference. It allows us to hire more reporters and editors and producers and the rest. Your support makes it all happen right now at houstonpublicmedia.org or again, 888-909-0887.
We know you tune into Houston Public Media because when you listen here, you hear facts, so you can form your own opinions. That helps you vote, make decisions for your family, and think about your future. We also report on solutions to the challenges our community faces, and we can all make life better here. All we need to do is work together, and one of the best ways you can improve life across Greater Houston is to donate. So please give monthly right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
After listening to us making the case for why your support is important, and I know some of you heard this many times over the course of the week, I get it, but the fact that you are listening to it tells me that you believe deeply in public media's role in keeping this community informed and connected, making sure that this service is here for everyone. If you are in a position where you have the capacity to give more, please consider a leadership gift of $5,000 or more. Your gift supports Houston Public Media's local programs like Houston Matters. It also welcomes you into our Affinity Council. This is a group of visionary donors investing in the future of Houston Public Media. Hope you'll consider giving now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or again call 888-909-0887.
Yeah, the world can feel overwhelming, right? And sometimes it feels like there's nothing you can do. But there is. You can make an affordable donation to this station to keep all the stories coming to you. Stories about the arts, food, culture, festivals, and great storytelling and fun on the weekends. Life is about more than breaking news, so donate now for the moments of joy, humanity, and calm. Please consider giving monthly or make a generous one-time gift at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us, you know the number, 888-909-0887.
This past year, we lost more than $2 million in federal funding. Now you have a chance to keep this service going strong and make sure that the news, the analysis, the storytelling, the conversations you hear, that they're here for everyone, including those who don't have the ability to give right now. It's why we turn to those of you who can in these final 9+ hours of this spring campaign. Don't leave it up to someone else. Don't put it off any longer. Ensure that Houston Public Media can remain strong with your monthly gift right now. $10 or $20 more if you can afford it at houstonpublicmedia.org or 888-909-0887. Thanks, and stay with us as Houston Matters continues on News 88.7 and YouTube.
You're the reason this station.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
There's things that I just can't stand the thought of myself saying.
I'm Paul Ingalls. Bob Costas recalls music interviews with me that you'll want to hear right here real soon. Saturday evening at 7 on News 88.7.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
We never seem to run out of arrangements of this theme. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly on Houston Matters. I'm Craig Cohen. We continue now with this week's non-expert panelists, Charles Kuffner, Lisa Falkenberg, and Marco Roberts. Okay, panel, remember Herbie the Love Bug? The beloved cantankerous car that brought Dean Jones and Michelle Lee together in the Disney classic. Oh, quality cinema. Well, that's not the sort of love bug that seems to be on the minds of a lot of Houstonians this week, or on their walls or car windshields, really all over. Yes, love bugs, or I may pronounce this wrong, Plesia nearctica, something like that, surge in population around this time of year and are showing up places Houstonians would rather not find them. As KPRC's Ninfa Saavedra reported this week, it's a short-term phenomenon. The bugs only live for 3 to 5 days, though they do a lot of hard living while they're here, mating left and right. That's why the population of the bugs surges and then wanes within a couple of weeks. Love bugs are here, and they are decidedly less adorable than the VW Beetle that palled around with a surprisingly G-rated Buddy Hackett. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Marco.
Oh, actually, I think it's good. I will tell you. Now, as a kid, I do remember... when I first came to Texas, my dad was introducing me to these bugs, although he didn't call them love bugs. He had a different word for love. But so I never confused it with the movie. But yes.
Not G-rated.
No. Yeah, I can't say it. But
who would have thought that Buddy Hackett could have avoided that in the movie, and Marco is just like right on the edge here on public radio.
So are we sure that isn't a Pulp Fiction callback?
And what was your response, Marco? Daddy, there's an orgy on the windshield.
Yeah. So, but I do remember the windshields being covered. I do remember all of that. To be honest with you, I haven't seen that this year myself, and which is interesting. But I think it's good because what I'm happy about is when I'm not being eaten by mosquitoes. I don't like that, right? And so, or flies getting in your food. But those love bugs, they're there for a few days. They really didn't bother me that much even back then. But now I haven't seen them at all. But I did read that they're beneficial to the environment, because apparently, since they're larvae most of the time, that's what they basically digest the food and help break up the soil and make it better. So to me, if it's a good thing for the environment, and maybe we should be concerned that we haven't seen them, and I actually was surprised that we haven't come up with a Love Bug Festival for Houston.
There you go. Interesting.
Somebody could get
always promoting, always thinking. Good, bad, or ugly, Charles?
I too have not seen any love bugs so far this year. I do recall, though, wasn't Don Knotts in those movies, too? I mean, he was in a lot of Disney projects.
I think you're thinking of the Ample Dumpling Gang. I mean, maybe he was in one of the sequels.
That wouldn't have stopped him from also being in the Love Bug movies. I'm going to have to hit up IMDb after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, haven't seen any, so they're not bothering me. So it's good.
I don't remember. There was Herbie Rides Again, Herbie Goes Bananas. I don't remember what the others were.
Herbie Goes to College. Who knows?
Something like that.
There was not Herbie Procreates. So
that would have been on the Love Bug After Dark.
Oh boy. Good, bad, or ugly, Lisa Falkenberg.
Oh, good. The world needs more love. We have too much of the other stuff. No, I guess we live in a part of town. I don't know if I know you and I generally live around the same, but I don't know if Marco does. But anyway, supposedly, I haven't seen them either. I remember covering East Texas years ago, and literally, like some of these descriptions that I've been reading online, you couldn't see out of your windshield. You'd clear your windshield, then constantly, they'd be coming to, flocking onto it, and then you'd have to, figure out a way to get down the road. But I don't know. It seems that they're drawn to lighter colors, are drawn to the emissions. The smell of your car, because it's like decaying matter. It mimics the smell of decaying matter, I've read. So I don't know if there's some reason they're staying away from our neighborhood, but whatever. It's a spring. It's spring. It's a rite of passage. It's Love and not war, Pete Hegseth. We need more love.
And we have an environment all around us doing all sorts of interesting things, some of which we love, some of which we could do without. It's all good. Charles Kuffner writes the off-the-cuff political blog. Lisa Falkenberg is a senior columnist with the Houston Chronicle. Marco Roberts is chairman of the Texas Conservative Liberty Forum. Charles, Lisa, Marco, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, here we are in the final 5 minutes of the last Houston Matters of this fundraising campaign. Support Houston Public Media right now and support news stories and conversations that promote curiosity and understanding. Houston Public Media is now 100% funded by this community. That means that we turn to you for support. Make your $10 or $20 or $30 a month gift right now. More if you can afford it at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And let's check in now once more with Bianca Seward. Hello again, Bianca.
Hey, Craig. This is it, guys. The final hours of our campaign is here. It ends in just 9 hours, and we're only $60,000 away from our goal. So this is the moment when your action really matters, and your support makes all the difference. So go on now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
Other news outlets sometimes speed through stories a little too quickly. Sometimes they're not able, for whatever reason, to fully explain what an issue really means, or sometimes the reasons behind a given event aren't fully explained. We are committed here at Houston Public Media to taking the time necessary to tell a complete story, to provide depth and context. That's what we're all about. Well, this kind of journalism, it's becoming more and more difficult to find. That's why we need your support. Make your monthly gift now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
This fundraiser is your moment to give right now. I promise you, it will have an impact. Think about everything you get from Houston Public Media and whether the news is worth it. Your monthly gift will keep this going for many, many months, even years. So give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us right now. 888-909-0887.
If a one-time gift is what's best for you, that's great. We appreciate it. If you can kick in a couple $100, awesome. If you could do $1,000, if you can do $5,000 or more, we'd be very grateful. Whatever the amount is that makes sense for your budget, if you want to just do that one-time gift, that's awesome. If you're able, if it's something that you don't mind doing, maybe you could give monthly. If you've never supported us before, consider $10 or $15 a month and see how it feels, put it on. It's kind of like, taking a car out for a test drive. What do you think? We're so close to our goal, but we do need your help to get us there. So let's hear from you now at houstonpublicmedia.org or 888-909-0887.
Your gift has an everyday impact. It supports all of the stories that affect your life, your city, your experiences. We know you deserve news that reflects where you live, and that's exactly what you're getting when you're supporting the Houston Public Media Station with a gift. Houston Public Media is 100% community funded, and that means the quality of your news comes directly from what you choose to give. So go on, give now, monthly, at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
Just 2 minutes left during Houston Matters now, encouraging your support at houstonpublicmedia.org or 888-909-0887. We are grateful for every gift, and if you have the capacity to give more, we invite you to consider a gift of $5,000 or above. Your support builds Houston Public Media's future, ensures that we stay strong even without federal funding, and that leadership gift will also welcome you into our Affinity Council, where your gift inspires others to protect this essential service. Again, 888-909-0887 or houstonpublicmedia.org.
Let me tell you guys why you're hearing the urgency in our voices. The money you donate now before the campaign ends in just 9 hours is what's going to fuel us for the next year. And we're just $60,000 away from hitting our goal. So please, choose now to make a monthly gift at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
Final minute, Houston Matters. Let's hear from you now. Your gift will help ensure that the next generation grows up with news that is built on facts. It's up to you. protect the news coverage that you hear on public radio and make sure that it's here for everyone across Greater Houston today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and beyond. Give monthly at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or 888-909-0887.
It takes all of us to keep Houston Public Media strong, and that means gifts of all amounts. If a one-time gift works best for you, we really appreciate it. We know we wouldn't be here without the generous support in all forms from you. Give what works for you at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call us right now at 888-909-0887.
Just 60 grand left to raise today. We can get there. Absolutely. It starts with your contribution right now. Again, at 888-909-0887. And we thank you very much.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. Baylor's work centers on advancing health and medicine through research, education, and patient care.
Couple of new wrecks to tell you about. One, Southwest Freeway headed out on 69, right at the West Loop. Several left lanes blocked off. Fire crews are on that scene. Another one up on the North Loop westbound at the Hardy. I can see that one on camera as well. They're sitting in a couple of left lanes. Warm today, 86 for the high, windy conditions again, 70 for the low tonight, and 50 to 80% chance of rain tomorrow late afternoon going into Saturday night. That's going to bring some cooler temperatures, lows in the 50s and highs in the low 70s on Sunday. We're at 74 right now. It's KUHF Houston News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston. Thanks for your support. Have a great weekend. 10:01.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Iran's foreign minister says Tehran is fully reopening the Strait of Hormuz to commercial traffic. It's been closed since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. He says shipping has to be coordinated with Iranian authorities. But NPR's Quill Lawrence reports President Trump says the U.S. is still blockading Iranian ports.
The U.S. has been and is still blocking ships from exiting or entering Iranian ports, which is to strangle Iran's economy. And that blockades are an act of war, but in this case, it's a negotiating pressure tactic as well. And at yesterday's Pentagon news briefing, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said the blockade is the polite way to go with this, but he mentioned the other way, which would be bombing Iran's civilian infrastructure, which could be a war crime.
NPR's Quill Lawrence reporting. The news about the strait came as dozens of world leaders held a meeting today in Paris. Britain's prime minister says the leaders want to create a defensive force to help protect shipping in the strait. Trump administration officials are pitching Congress on the largest defense budget request in U.S. history. NPR's Claudia Grisales reports the $1.5 trillion request does not include costs from the war with Iran.
The administration is also on track to ask Congress for a supplemental war funding plan that could near the $100 billion mark. Betty McCollum, top Democrat on a House Defense Appropriations Subcommittee, told Army officials this week they need a full picture to conduct oversight.
That's the only way we can do our job properly to do the oversight that we are tasked with. To be clear, the size of the request for defense spending is shocking.
Trump officials are calling the $1.5 trillion defense budget request so far a paradigm-shifting investment. Many Republicans are receptive to the plan to increase U.S. military capabilities, including new ships, planes, drones, and munitions. Claudia Grisales, NPR News.
A federal judge says above-ground construction on the new White House ballroom project must stop until congressional lawmakers approve it. NPR's Anastasia Sulkas has more.
The judge, Richard J. Leon, is continuing to block the Trump administration from building a 90,000-foot ballroom on the site of the White House's former East Wing until the new addition is approved by Congress. In his ruling, Judge Leon wrote, quote, "National security is not a blank check to proceed with otherwise unlawful activity." But the judge is allowing the White House to proceed with below-ground work on a bunker and other, quote, national security facilities on the construction site. The judge also paused his order until April 23rd, giving the White House time to file a new appeal. But he also wrote, quote, "I have no desire or intention to be dragooned into the role of construction manager." Anastasia Tzilkas, NPR News.
You're listening to NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. Authorities served 2 search warrants Thursday morning at the home of a suspect in the decades-old Texas killing fields case. 61-year-old James Elmore is facing charges of manslaughter and tampering with evidence in 2 of the Texas killing fields cases from the mid-1980s. Galveston County District Attorney Kenneth Cusick spoke to the media.
This is a continuation of the charges several weeks ago of Mr. Elmore, which involved the manslaughter of Laura Miller, and also the 2 charges for evidence tampering for the disposal of her body, and also of Audrey Cook.
Officials say one warrant calls for the search for possible human remains on Elmore's property. The other warrant looks for evidence of child pornography on Elmore's devices. Shortages in oil and gas could prompt Texas energy companies to start drilling again. News 88.7's Natalie Weber tells us more about what a U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz could mean for the energy industry.
Oil prices have reached more than $100 a barrel as the strait has remained effectively closed throughout the war. Jay Young is the CEO of King Operating Corporation, an independent oil and gas company. He says the higher prices could prompt an increase in Texas oil and gas production, especially after the U.S. blockade.
So that's taking a tremendous amount of oil off the market. So it's great for Texas because Texas can drill as many wells as they can.
The U.S. began blocking the Strait of Hormuz earlier this week. While a ceasefire has been called between the U.S. and Iran, it remains fragile. I'm Natalie Weber, News 88.7.
In sports, the Astros welcome in the St. Louis Cardinals tonight. First pitch 7:10 at Daikin Park. Weather, partly sunny and breezy today, a high near 86. Tonight, mostly cloudy, windy, low around 71. Right now, partly cloudy, 77 degrees on the UH campus.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include FJC, a foundation of donor-advised funds working to maximize the impact of charitable giving and to create customized philanthropic solutions. Learn more at fjc.org.
No matter where you are, it's Texas Standard Time on this 17th day of April 2026, and the clock is ticking on water in Texas. As we've been reporting now for quite some time, Corpus Christi and its neighbors are facing an unprecedented water crisis right now with its combined main sources for water down below the 10% mark, water restrictions in place, and the prospect of more serious curbs on water use seemingly just around the corner. The state's very concerned about water management there, and the governor's even threatened to intervene with a state takeover if things get too critical. And that appears to be the trajectory. But here's the thing. The factors that have driven Corpus Christi to this crisis point are similar to those in many parts of the state. A rapidly growing population, huge growth in industrial demand, a drought that won't let up. In fact, demand for water has been growing at such a pace across Texas that 4 years ago, a state water plan for Texas was unveiled with a price tag of $80 billion, including 3,000 water management strategy projects designed to head off water shortages across Texas. But there is a new draft of the state water plan for Texas, and for starters, the price tag has gone way, way up. But the cost of not taking action itself could be disastrous. Here to tell us more, Megan Kimball. She's the political economy reporter for the Houston Chronicle and the other Hearst news outlets in Texas. Megan, welcome to the Texas Standard.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the damage here. How much is it projected to cost to save the state's water infrastructure? What's the new figure?
According to the draft plan, state water plan released on Thursday, the new price tag for, investing in Texas's water security is $174 billion over the next 50 years.
Wow. All right. Well, the previous price tag was $80 billion. What accounts for that huge increase?
A large part of that increase is simply inflation. It costs a lot more to build any kind of construction project now than it did 5 years ago. There's a backlog of projects that were approved in the last state water plan that haven't been built for various reasons. And I think importantly, that this new state water plan goes out to 2080, and that reflects the fact that, as water gets more and more scarce, it's simply more expensive to access new sources of water. Corpus Christi is a great example. Desalination is wildly expensive. As groundwater and surface water dries up, the cost of securing new water also goes up.
There are certain private desalination plants that supply industry along the Gulf, but it's my understanding that there is no municipal desalination project right now in Texas. And as you mentioned, there's been this on-again, off-again talk about a desalination plant. Are we talking about the prospect of having desalination plants up and down the Texas coast, or is that envisioned? Where are we going to get the water from?
This new state water plan has 3,000 strategies similar to the last one. And so desalination actually still makes up a small percentage of the overall water supply in the future. It's about 4% in this new state water plan, which is what it was 5 years ago. The largest project in the plan, coming in at a price tag of about $10 billion, is a plan to pipe water from the Toledo Bend Reservoir on the Louisiana border to the Dallas-Fort Worth region. So piping water from, one area of the state that has a lot to another area that has less is one strategy. Pumping and treating brackish groundwater from across the state is one strategy. A huge part of the state water plan, though, is conservation. So using less water and then also reusing the water that we do use. So conservation and reuse together account for about 40% of the water supply strategies.
I gather that public comment is welcome on this draft plan. We're just talking about a draft plan, but I guess I'm a little concerned about how much Texans are really plugged into the water shortage in a larger sense, in a more general sense, because there have been warnings about drought and the effect of a water shortage in Texas for as long as most Texans can remember. And yet many Texans have not faced the sort of water shortage that, say, Corpus Christi is now facing, where you're dealing with the potential of a catastrophe within months. The urgency, that sense of urgency. How much do you believe that moving forward with some of these ideas is being held up by a sort of a lack of momentum, a lack of awareness, or Texans being plugged into just how critical the situation is?
Yeah, it depends on where you are in the state. I think in some areas, people are very aware that it's critical. I think it's important to note that this state water plan is basically a compendium of 16 regional water plans. So Texas's water planning process is very much bottom up. It starts in local regional water groups that I think you're right. A lot of Texans are not aware of the planning activities of like the Region N water group, for example, in Corpus Christi. And that's where a lot of the kind of rubber meets the road on this planning process, and getting involved early, in the next round of planning is where a lot of these decisions will actually get made.
Well, does this draft water plan lay out precise next steps for how to start to address this problem, or is this, as I'm envisioning 16 sort of disparate ways to go with what needs to be a kind of coordinated effort?
Yeah, the purpose of this plan is really to give the Texas Water Development Board basically a list of projects that they can start to fund moving forward. So projects are not eligible for state funding until they appear in the state water plan. And so now, they're all online on the interactive state water plan on the Texas Water Development Board website. Those projects can now start to get state grants and state revolving loan funding. So that's basically the roadmap, is like, what are we going to fund moving forward?
Where's this money going to come from?
Last session, the legislature allocated $20 billion over the next 20 years to water projects, and a lot of experts are now saying that's likely not enough.
It is a fascinating undertaking and one that's critical for the future of Texas. And I want to encourage you to check out Megan Kimball's excellent reporting on this. We're going to link to it at texasstandard.org. Megan Kimball is the political economy reporter for the Houston Chronicle and other Hearst News outlets in Texas. Megan, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Two very different candidates with similar politics facing off in the runoff for the Democratic nomination for the lieutenant governor seat in Texas. Vicky Goodwin is a state legislator and former Austin real estate broker. Marcos Velez is a Puerto Rican union leader and political newcomer in Austin. Both their names will appear on the ballot for the May 26th runoff. Yet, you'd be forgiven for not being particularly familiar with them. They're not exactly household names across the Lone Star State. In fact, that may be one of the biggest challenges going forward for Democrats, even in a year where many politics watchers think Texas Democrats may have a big opportunity to upset the political status quo. Here to tell us more about this race is Karen Brooks Harper, a senior reporter covering Texas politics for the Dallas Morning News. Karen, welcome back.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Your story highlights some of the policy positions that both candidates share. Let's talk about the similarities here in terms of what's been coming up in this race.
Well, they agree on the cornerstone Democratic basics, all right? When I talk to people in the party, they highlighted the fact that they're both quote unquote good Democrats. There's no, they can't really be hit too hard on any of their credentials in that way. But if we're, talking specifics, we're talking about supporting public education and opposing the private school vouchers.